Hi and welcome to sallyhughesbeauty.com. Thank you so much for visiting. This is the second part in my interviews with Aerin Lauder. I'm excited about this one in particular because Aerin and I share a huge passion, almost an obsession for smell, right? You love scent.
I do. I love flowers, I love fragrance, I love scent.
Was the idea when you started your own brand, was there ever a doubt in your mind that you were going to make perfume? Was that always an ambition of yours?
No, fragrance has always been a part of my life. As a little girl, I used to see my grandmother constantly trying fragrances and mixing fragrances, and I launched a private collection a few years ago with Estee Lauder, and it's still one of my favorites. And when we were developing the Aerin brand, we loved the idea of a collection of fragrances. It was that modern wardrobe, that selection allowed you to escape and discover. And we're just launching 2 more this coming fall, and very excited because they're very different but both very beautiful.
I'm really interested to see those. So before we go on, just to try and get an idea of how you ended up in this place of creating your fragrance wardrobe, because I know that's a concept that's very important to you. What's your earliest memory of scent? You mentioned your grandmother. Is there a particular moment?
Well, probably the way she smelled. I think she worked on Beautiful for many, many years, her fragrance about the bride. And I used to remember her getting into the car, walking into a room, and just smelling this beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And the first flower I think I fell in love with was tuberose. She would always have these wonderful arrangements of tuberoses in her front hallways. And I think it was warm, it was inviting, it was luxurious. So scent has always been an important part of my life.
It can just take you back somewhere so instantly. I would imagine if you smell beautiful, do you just immediately go back to being a child and having those?
It does. Scent is very extraordinary. It allows you to dream, to escape. It creates memories. Many of our fragrances that are in the collection are all based on memories and moments. Lilac Path, for example, was inspired by a lilac bush that my grandmother planted. And every spring it blooms, and it's so beautiful, and it has such a presence, and it reminds me of spring. So it immediately makes me think about that time of year and her.
I think people really associate the Aerin brand and you with florals, with the look of flowers. I know you use them a lot in your designs and your packaging and so on, but also the substance of your fragrance are very floral. How do you keep that interesting? You now have 2 new fragrances. How can you build on that strength for florals whilst keeping everything different?
Well, I think it's what you combine the florals with. One of our new fragrances is called Water Lily Sun, and I think it's sunshine in a bottle. It's inspired by Monet's Giverny, which I went to as a little girl, and the magic garden, the wonderful kind of secret paths, and the huge, huge water lilies. So in this fragrance is a water lily note, a green note, and a bit of jasmine. And combining it all makes it feel really special and fresh and very green. And the other fragrance we're launching is Iris Meadow, which is very much about a beautiful meadow.
I love iris.
I know, you told me you love iris. And iris is an unusual flower because it's strong yet feminine. And the combination of iris and black currant and a bit of a woody note gives it a wonderful kind of balanced scent. And even the cap being pale blue reminds you of a blue sky sitting in a field of wildflowers filled with irises.
I love it. I'm just going to have a squirt.
Please do. And even the packaging, the folding cartons, have these beautiful, once again, floral motifs, but referring back to the fragrance themselves. The Water Lily Sun is very green and crisp and quite bohemian, and the Iris Meadow has birds and flowers, a bit more classic.
To me, it's quite a complex, it's what I would, I suppose, call a proper perfume. It's quite a complex, multi-layered sort of a scent.
The Iris Meadow.
Yes, it has a sort of real richness to it. Is there one of the perfumes in the collection that's like your signature, or do you switch according to mood?
Well, I switch quite a bit depending on season and mood.
Yeah.
But my favorite, I think, is Peacock Jasmine. To me, it's like a pair of blue jeans. It was inspired by the idea of blue and white, and jeans and a white shirt, and that is definitely my go-to fragrance. I can wear it all year long, and I think there's something very easy, appealing, yet luxurious about it.
And if you're going somewhere in the evening and you want something a bit sexy, a bit earthier, what would you go for?
I probably would do Evening Rose, and that's a wonderful fragrance because it's a combination of rose and cognac. And I think it's the best of my grandmother and grandfather. It's a great combination. My grandfather used to always have a scotch or a cognac in his hand.
I love it.
And Esty always loved roses. So to me, that's such a kind of wonderful combination of the two of them. But it is a wonderful fragrance. You spray on as if you're walking out the door, and it just gives you that wonderful finishing touch.
Is there a fragrance that you didn't create from the past that you kind of wish had been you, that you secretly think, God, I would love that to be mine?
Well, I think we're always looking. I mean, I think There's always wonderful notes, a vanilla note, edible notes, I think are very appealing. I love Lily of the Valley. Actually, the Lilac Path fragrance originally started off as a Lily of the Valley, which I had in my bouquet when I got married, and it's so hard to achieve that, and we just couldn't get the fragrance right, so we completely switched gears and went to Lilac, which is still a beautiful fragrance, but Lily of the Valley is a note that I've always been mesmerized by.
You hear that a lot, that Lily of the Valley is very tricky to work with.
It's really tricky because it gets very sweet and feels very synthetic, so it's hard to achieve a true Lily of the Valley, but we can I think we're going to keep trying.
And I know that you make home fragrances in terms of your candles and so on. What kinds of smells do you like around the house? Are there certain smells that make you feel really comforted and at home, like baking bread or?
Well, we have a lot of wonderful fragrances in our candles. We have a rose, we have kind of more of a spicy one for the holidays, we have these wonderful earthy ones as well, and we have this very green one called Trumpet Vine, and it just smells like green and fresh, and it's perfect for a home because it feels very clean.
So how does it start? Like, take me through it. You come in and you go, I want a fresh, wet sort of fragrance for summer, and then the next thing you know, you're working on Water Lily Sun, or is it more of an abstract concept in the beginning?
Well, I think it's very important to communicate with the perfumers through visual cues, and what we do is we create boards based on a concept. Perfect example is Water Lily Sun. We pull together images of gardens, of lily pads, of Monet's water lilies, and really showing them the idea of this green, lush sensibility. And from these visual cues, they there then develop scents and notes, and we start, it's almost like cooking.
Yeah.
You combine, water lily accord with a green, lush accord mixed with a bit of, I would say, a jasmine, and then you get this final fragrance.
And do you personally have to love it?
I do. I have to say, Esty
it's just not happening.
No, I have to say, I think what's really important about a brand is to be authentic and to have a credibility and a realness behind it.
Yeah.
And Esty used to say it's her name on that bottle, it has to be the best it can be. So therefore, I feel the same way, and I have to love everything we do, whether it's a pair of shoes, a fragrance, or a pillow.
And do you send lots back along the way?
We do. We have lots of modifications with the fragrances. Fragrances are the most complicated product to create. We have many, many mods, because by just adjusting a scent a little bit can completely change the fragrance.
Yeah. So how long typically would the lifespan of development be for a fragrance?
Probably over a year and a half.
Wow. Quite a long time, isn't it? The packaging is obviously quite key to your brand. You're very interested in these prints and these florals, but then you have the stone, which I love. I remember when I wrote about them originally, I just thought these bottles are so beautiful. Does perfume have to be a beautiful thing, do you think, on the outside as well?
I think it does. I mean, for me, the whole experience of the Aerin brand is everything is beautiful, whether it's the folding cart and the cap, the little pouch the beauty comes in, all of our home items come in these beautiful blue suede pouches. I think it's the whole experience, because that idea that everything can be beautiful is very important to me.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that, because as you say, everything is beautiful. What do you think beauty brings, whether it's just one lovely thing in your house or whether you pay full attention to having everything beautiful? What does that bring to your life when you have beautiful things to look at?
To me, it brings happiness. I think beauty is happy, and I think when things are beautiful, they make you smile.
If you could take any smell and bottle it, what would it be? I know you're crazy about the beach, but...
Well, I love the beach. I mean, as I said, to me, it's paradise. So I think that concept of a walk on the beach, how do you capture that? I don't know. But I think aside from a floral scent, I do love the smell of the sea and sand and fresh air.
Yes, that kind of saltiness in your lungs is such a great smell, isn't it? Fantastic. In terms of your sort of idea of a fragrance wardrobes, the idea is that there should be a perfume for every mood, for every outfit, for every function, and so on. Is this something you see getting bigger and bigger? Do you think there are more Aerin fragrances to go in?
Well, we're always working on new fragrances, and there are a few more down the line. But right now, we have a wonderful wardrobe and something really, I think, for everyone. But there's always more to come.
Yeah, and will we see an extension of the home and body in the UK? Will we see more of that coming over to go?
Yes, we'll continue to launch more home items, more candles, especially for the holidays. So there will be more to come.
And body cream.
And body cream.
I have been feeling the body cream.
We've just launched body creams to complement all the previous fragrances in the collection. And body creams are wonderful because it's a great way to wear fragrance. It's great for travel. You can layer them, and it gives you a very luxurious, wonderful feel.
I think layering has become such a big thing.
People love that, whether it's in fashion or fragrance. It's a way of kind of showing a kind of personalization to a fragrance.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you about what's behind you. So these are some of your home items.
Yes.
And some of your body care. Do you have these it's as though you have these set up in little stories? Like
we do. I mean, for example, amber musk, which is a wonderful kind of cozy, it's amber, it's actually coconut mixed with it. We have this beautiful holiday collar that we're doing in a vessel with white peonies, and once again the amber musk fragrance and the body lotion, and it all kind of works together, which is the lifestyle concept behind the brand.
Yeah. So you're always thinking, when you're designing a piece of jewelry, are you almost thinking about the entire woman, the entire mood? You're thinking about the perfume.
We are, because since the idea of lifestyle is so important to us, is that the idea is when she goes to the beach for beauty or for fragrance, she also will go to the beach for inspiration behind her home line. Or home items.
Do you sort of have to go on research trips specifically, or do things just come to you, or do you think, right, I'm going to go to the Middle East and see what comes into my head?
Well, you don't have to necessarily travel to be inspired. I think you can read, you can look through magazines, you can go on the internet. I get a lot of my inspiration from Pinterest.
Oh, really?
From just kind of looking at different images. It can immediately take you someplace far, far away.
And what about New York? We're in, as you'll be able to hear on the video, we're in the middle of very busy Manhattan.
We are.
Lots of yellow taxis beeping in the background, which I think is really interesting, this sort of haven. Do you find inspiration on the street, on street level?
I do. I mean, I think New York is so inspiring. I think the museums, the style, the fashion, Central Park, I think there's so many elements to New York that are inspiring.
The Estee Lauder group, but particularly the Estee Lauder as a brand, has a strong affinity with London and the UK. Do you enjoy visiting yourself?
I do. I love to go to London, and my grandmother used to love London. She used to spend a bit of time there every summer. And it was our first international market we went into.
Oh, really?
It was, and she's always loved the UK, and so therefore it's a wonderful partner for us. And when I launched Aerin Beauty, we went into Harrods and Selfridges, as well as Canada and the US. So that was our first international market.
So what do you do when you're over?
Well, I of course love to walk, and I love to go to Hyde Park, and I love to go to the antique shops, and the food is delicious. I love Scott's and Harry's Bar, and I think London reminds me a lot of New York. You could just keep discovering these amazing streets.
Cool. Well, I really hope you come back soon. So you're coming back to launch the new fragrances in
July.
And then in the autumn you have more colour launching, don't you?
Yes, we do.
So it's all kind of crazy all summer. Thank you so much for showing them to me.
Thank you.
It's been lovely to talk to you, particularly about perfume. I can see it's something you obviously really care about. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching, and do visit again. Thanks, bye-bye.